#1 at being dumb, the new face of the DNC. Gather round, cause that's our Jasmine.
Jasmine Crockett's got another hot take. No blacks and whites on a wedding cake. The Democrats' new chosen one, Jasmine Crockett, is in the news again for an old clip where she attacked Florida Rep. Byron Donalds for marrying a white woman.
With his piercing wit and lack of self-control, Greg Gutfeld completely destroyed Jasmine Crockett by setting her on fire on live television. Her grandstanding bullshit was shredded by Gutfeld, leaving her frantically trying to make a comeback. It was a demolition rather than a debate, and Crockett provided talking points. Gutfeld brought a flamethrower, and instead of just watching, the audience howled and social media went crazy. If you thought political discussion was dull, think again. Crockett never saw this coming. It was just unadulterated mayhem.
Clearly, it's because you married a white woman and so you think that that whitewashed you.
That's not very woke, is it? Of course, Crockett isn't the only Democrat who's opposed to interracial marriage, or else more Democrats would have voted for this one. Racist!
It was only a matter of time until Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett decided to take the spotlight with her usual flair for drama and headline-chasing sound bites, and boy did it hit hard. Crockett made a fatal error when she attempted to puff up her political feathers and take her antics from the House floor to the public eye. She assumed Greg Gutfeld would treat her with the kid gloves the mainstream media lovingly offers. Greg Gutfeld doesn't just debate. He demolishes, doesn't engage in calm discussions, and rips through nonsense like a political buzzsaw wrapped in sarcasm and dipped in Red Bull.
Tyrus, I go to you for no particular reason. Is she making any point there?
Like this makes me wish my mom made different father choices. Because we all get sucked into this. Like, this is... If you're going to talk about black history, at least know it. This is... At least know it. Okay?
Instead, she enters the lion's den unprepared, overconfident, and vastly outmatched. Crockett is more of a performance artist posing as a lawmaker, skilled at yelling over others while using buzzwords and throwing tantrums that are appropriate for TikTok usage. Yet, her political career has primarily consisted of angry tirades, viral clapbacks, and using every microphone she comes across to perform for her fan base. To everyone else, it's just noise, but to her, it's called fighting for justice.
It goes back to, that was 45 seconds of some of the, like, Kamala, you good right now. That was some of the dumbest I ever heard in my life. Here's the thing. This goes back to what we talked about earlier. They never have a solution. Just listen to your dumbass talk. You want to talk about agriculture? Why don't you fix the lottery? Why don't you make it easier for people who want to come into this country to work in agriculture and equitation and factories? Get rid of the lottery. Open it up. Talk to the president. Like, hey, we got a plan. We want to make it easier for people who can vet and come in and work in this country. Come up with an idea. Besides, any of y'all want to pick cotton? We're like, we're in suits in the middle of the Midwest. Why would we pick cotton? It's like the extreme stupidness of what she speaks. I'm so angry right now.
Gutfeld gets right to the point with sniper-level sarcasm and a smile that indicates, I already know where this is going and you're not going to like it. If you're enjoying this discussion, then make sure to subscribe. In response to Crockett's most recent round of grandstanding, which included a combination of race-baiting deflection and the typical partisan theatrics, he didn't come to play. He came to roast, and roast he did. He started by painting the exact picture that everyone else was thinking, but he was too polite to say that Crockett is more of a walking viral moment, desperately trying to maintain relevance through performative outrage.
She's so rotten, she wants migrants picking cotton. We present to you Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett, who made this shocking argument why America needs immigrants. Roll it, Alfred.
So I had to go around the country and educate people about what immigrants do for this country, or the fact that we are a country of immigrants.
Right.
The fact is, ain't none of y'all trying Okay, so I'm lying. Raise your hands.
When the wheels fall off.
You're not. We done picking cotton. We are. You can't pay us enough to find a plantation.
The takedown was precise, relentless, and dripping with contempt. Gutfeld didn't need to shout. He simply held up a mirror, and what Crockett saw wasn't flattering. He revealed the hollowness behind her rhetoric, the contradictions behind her statements, and the paper-thin logic holding her entire political persona together. Let's not pretend this was some isolated spat. She wasn't asking questions, she was performing monologues. She wasn't defending ideas, and she was trying to get likes. In Gutfeld's universe, that's the lowest form of political life. When the cameras are rolling, Jasmine Crockett, who has established herself as the queen of House Committee theatrics, has a new meltdown ready with exaggerated facial expressions, dramatic pauses, and just enough buzzwords to keep the cable news producers interested. This is political theater at its worst. All performance, no policy, but this time, her one-woman show was overshadowed, and Gutfeld did more than just comment on her behavior, he destroyed it.
Tillmaid, she's getting to be the face of that party.
I know, thanks to your show.
Yeah.
I said, I don't know what's more popular, this or The View on Gutfeld. But a couple of things. Did you see, at first I thought she was doing it for comedic purposes, but you watch back, nobody had a response. They didn't know what the hell she was talking about. And she's like, oh, really? Farming? Yes, it's called eating, farming. America's got the best farmers in the world. There's glory in doing it. People do it, and the people don't do it by hand anymore. This isn't 1820. So I was just stunned by what she's saying. But the weird thing is, she probably left that room thinking she knocked it out of the park. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that anyone can stop her from being the face of the party, except Bernie Sanders, who's 111 years old, talking about oligarchs.
Every disproportionate hand gesture, disproportionate complaint, and fabricated conflict, Gutfeld used satire and unadulterated common sense to bring everything into the public eye and destroy it. He made fun of the ridiculousness of her outrage and brought attention to the contradictions in her tirades. One minute she was calling for unity, and the next she was accusing everyone who disagreed with her of being involved in a massive plot. To silence her genius, Gutfeld saw right through it and called it what it was, a contrived act meant to divert attention from the fact that she had accomplished very little, and that's when things got delicious. He didn't stop at Crockett's actions, though he went after her recorder, rather, the lack of it, given her energy and theatrics. Crockett has had little effect on legislation. Gutfeld laid it all out there. No historic legislation, no noteworthy achievements, just a ton of viral videos and inflated interviews in which she reiterates the same for talking points in ever higher volumes. Bear Crockett is a brand, not a leader. She is the political equivalent of a reality TV contestant who believes that charisma equals mayhem. While that may help her gain Instagram fans, it accomplishes nothing for the nation.
Do you have an opinion on this? Or should I move on to somebody?
No, I just... It has to come from me.
Yes.
Okay. None of y'all are qualified. Not just for one thing. I'm mad at Charmaine the Guy because he should have kicked her out. See, the problem is that we are allowing our own culture to be openly racist and get away with it. Now, if a white person is offended by that, and they should be, they say something. It's like it's not the same thing. But if you say that, and another brother looks at you and goes, man, you wrong for that. And I don't want you on my show. Get the hell out. Because I'm telling you right now, if I was not on the show, which happens sometimes, and someone was sitting in his chair and he was complaining about black men this and black that, and they shouldn't be here. And you know what happens when a white woman marries a black guy? You would not have seen that guy in the next segment. He would have kicked his ass off because you're not going to talk about somebody that I care about like that or another person like that. That's the problem.
Naturally, Crockett supporters were not amenable to this and jumped to her defense more quickly than you could say identity politics, claiming that any criticism of her stems from bigotry, misogyny, or, wait for it, fear of her power. However, Gutfeld wasn't having it, and he cut through the deflection with surgical precision, reminding everyone that criticism isn't hate, but rather accountability. And if you can't handle that, perhaps politics isn't your calling, the public's. Reaction was brutal, as social media exploded with memes featuring Gutfeld standing over an exaggerated Crockett with the caption, "Sit down and learn something." Others simply played the takedown repeatedly, treating it as the political equivalent of a UFC knockout. And let's not forget the obvious, Crockett entered the arena prepared to throw shade, not provoked or targeted, and she forgot that Gutfeld uses a flamethrower during a slap fight. As she attempted to dodge gaslight and scream her way out of the spotlight, Gutfeld continued to beat her with facts, logic, and sarcasm that could have made a dictionary bleed.
Yeah, all right, stop it! Although I'm not saying you have great taste. Happy Wednesday, everyone. Oh, man. Okay.
Gutfeld wasn't just going after one bad soundbite. He was going after the entire performance politics industry Crockett represents. He was bringing attention to a breed of politicians who believe media virality is a substitute for governance, and he was doing it in a way that was too hilarious to ignore. It was like watching someone try to put out a fire with glitter, useless, sparkly, and verily outmatched. Even her allies started to quietly back off, clearly realizing that this wasn't a battle anyone wanted to be caught in. Gutfeld redoubled his efforts by reminding everyone of the qualities of true leadership. It's not about shouting at your detractors or using foul language. The goal is not to act outraged for clicks. Memes and headlines aren't enough. You need to show up, put in the effort, and create genuine change. Jasmine Crockett discovered the hard way that if you put attention before action, someone like Greg Gutfeld will always be there to call your bluff, torch your talking points, and serve you satire with a side of embarrassment.
Jesse, they call Musk a Nazi, and next thing you know, you got swastikas on cars. They called Trump Hitler and a Nazi and a fascist, and he got shot. So I don't really ever see that happening on the Republican side when we make fun of Democrats. It's also about the supporters. It's not just the leaders. It seems like Democrats are easily programmed to do bad things.
Yes, they are. They're very easily programmed, Greg.
I made you.
And this wasn't just a takedown, it was a full-fledged warning label in human form. Greg Gutfeld didn't just ruin Jasmine Crockett's performance. He made it a teaching moment for every politician who used to be a political influencer and is now a lawmaker, riding the dopamine high of social media applause for every politician who believes that being loud equals effectiveness and that TikTok tantrums are equivalent to policy victories. Gutfeld simply wrote, "We see you, we're tired, and we're not clapping anymore" across their brand with a giant sarcastic marker. The problem is that this wasn't a back and forth or a debate. Rather, it was the intellectual equivalent of an ambush. At a vegan potluck where Gutfeld arrived with a loud howler and a rack of ribs. This time, there were no standing ovations, no sympathetic retweets, just stunned silence and that awkward second-hand embarrassment you get when someone tries a backflip and lands on their face. Jasmine Crockett attempted to rally the crowd in the hopes that her trademark concoction of indignation and buzzwords would drown out the fact that her argument had more holes than a leaky submarine.
First they cursed, now they thirst for blood. Jasmine Crockett is upping her temper tantrums, now saying the only way Democrats can win elections is by throwing hands.
I think you punch. I think you're okay with you okay with punching. It's Ted Cruz. I mean, this dude has to be knocked over the head, hard.
Crockett thrashed in an attempt to recover, spinning in circles like a broken Roomba and yelling phrases like systemic oppression, voice of the people, and let me finish, but each one simply bounced off Gutfeld's unimpressed smirk. It was an amusing attempt to put out a grease fire by yelling at it, but it wasn't effective in the moment. Gutfeld's takedown was so clinical and quiet that it almost felt like customer service, and he didn't even need to raise his voice. He appeared to have mentally gone on to lunch. Thank you for your outrage. please wait while we move you to someone. Who cares? He wasn't just winning, he was winning effortlessly. You could practically hear lift music playing in his head as Crockett frantically tried to keep his composure. And what about the audience? Oh, the audience wasn't just watching. They were savoring every sarcastic remark Gutfeld made, and it landed like a cannon of confetti in a room full of inflated egos. Crockett's moment of courage swiftly transformed into a live-streamed illustration of what happens when a cruel candidate is confronted with reality.
Now, she claims that she wasn't talking about Abbott's wheelchair at all. Yet she's mentioned Abbott's wheels before. In 2022, she posted Beto's rolling around the state. Where's Abbott rolling to? And according to the Washington Free Beacon, Crockett also liked several Facebook comments referring to Abbott as Hot Wheels back in 2020.
Her supporters scrambled to save the wreck. Tweets flew, think pieces were drafted, and someone likely posted a fiery Instagram caption about misogyny before realizing it wouldn't erase the burn marks, but the damage was done. This wasn't a stumble, it was a collapse. The Empress wasn't just exposed, she was live streaming it. Gutfeld had already left the battlefield. His smug expression said it all. He knew he'd won. This wasn't just political drama, it was a cultural autopsy. He didn't just take down Jasmine Crockett. He dismantled the entire genre of performance politicians who mistake clout for competence and tantrums for leadership. What made it worse? Gutfeld never lost his cool. No shouting, no theatrics, just sharp satire and facts, delivered with the calm of someone who's seen it all before. He wasn't angry, he was bored, and that made it sting more. Crockett stood there, still holding the mic, waiting for applause that never came. A political karaoke solo to an empty room with the mic never turned on.
How long is she gonna keep this thing that she wasn't talking about, the wheelchair?
Yeah. Come on, babe, you know you're full of and all that, Jasmine. I think what happened was AOC was like, you guys, I need to triangulate and be serious now because I'm going to be a senator. So someone has to be a talking attention whore. Who's it going to be? And Jasmine raised her hand and goes, excuse me, Congresswoman Cortez, I speak jive.
Despite her best efforts, it was insufficient because hashtags are not a legislative strategy and volume is not a vision. This was about substance against show, realism against optics, and no longer left against right. Not only did Gutfeld discredit a political figure, but he also exposed a whole trend that is affecting American politics: the emergence of the viral politician who enters Congress believing that the chamber is just another influencer stage and that every bill is a script just waiting to be shared online. This is the main lesson to be learned. Politics isn't a stage, a reality show, or a place to promote oneself under the guise of activism. It's not a place to chase influence without considering the real consequences if you treat it like such. Greg Gutfeld will be waiting in the wings with a monologue that doesn't just end your performance. It rewrites your entire show as a cautionary tale and features Jasmine Crockett.